It's the morning of May the 23rd, 1940, and in the skies over France, a Spitfire is being riddled with bullets by a German fighter. Inside, squadron leader Francis Drogo White manages to escape the melee, but the Spitfire is not going to make it home. He doesn't want to bail out. There's too much risk of injury or capture, and the nearest airfield is just a few miles away. Even though it may soon be occupied by the fast-advancing Germans, he decides he has to set his plane down there. The injured Spitfire bucks underneath him as he makes the turn for the airfield. He fights with the controls as the speed is close to stalling.
Just a little further.
The airfield comes into view and White has just enough altitude to make it to the runway. As the Spitfire drifts over the grass, its speed is dangerously low, but around 80 miles an hour, he manages to get his bird down. The aircraft comes to a halt. Breathing heavily, White shoves open the canopy. He's all alone, and he realizes he's in enemy territory. Pulling out his map, he checks his location and radios home to his base in the south of England. He radios his position as the airfield at Calais Mark. The British headquarters are quick to respond and tell him to sit tight as help is on its way.
We'll get you home.
Looking around the airfield, he sees the ditch running alongside the perimeter wire. It's perfect. He rushes for the trench and hunkers down in the damp earth. There's nothing he can do now except to look to the skies and wait for help. Out across the English Channel, the rescue force is soon on its way. In the lead are two Spitfires flown by Pilot Officer Alan Deer and his wingman, Pilot Officer Johnny Allen. The two fighters are escorting the rescue plane, a Miles Master M9 trainer, with Flight Lieutenant James Prof Lethert at the controls and a spare seat for Squadron Leader White. But as they approach the airfield, they find it hidden with a thick layer of low-hanging cloud, and it's perfect cover for enemy fighters waiting in ambush. Deer decides he needs eyes above the grey blanket and orders his wingman, Johnny Allen, to get up to 8,000 feet and watch for bandits.
Roger, Red One. Climbing.
With his wingman away on patrol, Deer and Prof head down towards the airstrip. On the ground, Squadron Leader White sees Deer's incoming Spitfire hurtle towards him and roar over his head. The fighter goes into a wide orbit, keeping watch around the airfield. Then White sees the M9 master trainer heading towards the runway. He stands up in the ditch and waves his arms above his head. Prof brings it in for a smooth landing and taxis past the downed Spitfire. Up above, Deer is still orbiting the airfield when he hears a voice come over the radio, urgently telling him there are 12 enemy planes incoming. Deer's heart sinks. They're going to have to fight their way out. He orders Allen to stay high and engage the enemy.
I'm going to warn Prof.
Prof, though, in the M9 Master, doesn't have a radio, so Deer has no option but to fly down to try and warn him. But Prof doesn't see him. He's still taxiing along the runway, completely unaware that the enemy is coming in fast.
Damn it, Prof. Look up.
He races towards the M9 Master as fast as he can, trying to put himself in the way of the incoming fighters. It's then, with dread, that he sees his enemy. It's a Messerschmitt Bf-109, and it's bursting from the cloud layer, heading straight towards Prof's defenseless aircraft. In the German cockpit, Unteroffizier Heinz Gillert homes in on the unarmed trainer. Taking his time to line up the target, Gillert fires a stream of rounds from his twin 7.92mm machine guns right at the M9 Master. The shells kick up lumps of grass on either side of the plane as the German pilot pulls up and peels away, getting ready to make another pass on the trainer. But then he sees tracer rounds streaking past his cockpit. Gillert looks off to his right in total shock to see a British fighter closing in on him. In the Spitfire, Deer quickly fires off another burst with his 8 303 machine guns. It's a rapid burst, and the bullets go high and wide, but it forces Gillert to break off his attack, peeling away into a hard banking turn to the left.
Werde von Spitfire angegriffen. Verteidige.
Deer opens up his throttle and pulls as hard as he can on the stick, forcing his aircraft inside the 109's turning circle. The world contracts to the circle of his gun sight as he pulls the German fighter into the crosshairs inch by inch. Deer's finger hovers over the gun button. Suddenly, he's pulled out of his tunnel vision by a call over the radio.
Red One, I need help.
High above the clouds, his wingman, Johnny Allen, is in a dogfight battling several German fighters. Deer's heart beats faster at his friend's anguished cries. His first instinct is to climb high and go to his wingman's aid. But down below is Prof's N9 Master, unarmed and exposed. That has to be his first priority.
Roger, Red 2. Hang on, old boy, until I take down this German.
Deer keeps chasing the German plane as the two leave the airfield behind and race out over the sea. Gillard desperately checks around him as he knows he only has seconds until the Spitfire gets a shot. He gets on the radio, asking desperately for help. High above the cloud layer, two more 109s are battling with Johnny Allen. The two German planes are stuck to Allen's 6, but the British pilot is swinging his plane around as he skillfully evades the incoming rounds. The German flight leader pulls hard on his stick, trying desperately to keep Allen's plane in his sights. He hears Gillard's panic-stricken cries over the radio. There's no way he can break from this combat. Gillard is all alone. There's only one option left. He pulls on the stick and climbs hard, the G-forces pressing him back into his seat. Gillard climbs, desperately hoping that he can somehow escape. The sky flashes past and his engine howls with the strain as he pushes the 109 to its very limit. But it's not enough. With a check of the mirror, Gillard sees that the Spitfire is still stuck to his tail. Worse, his own plane is painfully slowed. His engine is all out of power. In his cockpit, Deer gets a perfect shot lined up in his gun sight. He squeezes the trigger button and unleashes a blast of rapid machine gun fire towards Gillard's aircraft. The rounds smash into the tail of the 109. All around him, Gillard feels the crashing and tearing of his plane being ripped to pieces.
Adler 1, bin getroffen. Ich gehe runter.
Clouds of white smoke and fragments of the fuselage trail behind him as Deer's rounds smash through the rear fuselage into the cockpit and into his body. Gillard's hands fall from the controls, lifeless. But even without its pilot, the 109 keeps climbing, and Deer keeps firing until the plane is wreathed in grey and black smoke. Then it stalls. For a moment it hangs into the air. The plane flops onto its back, plunging vertically towards the sea. Deer watches as it goes spiraling down and splashes into the water. He is the first Spitfire pilot to shoot down a 109, but there's no time to savor the victory. Deer knows he needs to join his wingman, Johnny Allen, who he's left fighting off two bandits.
Red 2, do you read?
All he hears is the crackle of static.
Red 2, do you read?
With no response from his wingman, he heads towards the airfield to see how White and Prof are getting on. They're both sheltering in the ditch still, and the M9 looks unharmed, but they're far from safe. German forces are approaching over land, and there's still the threat of more Bf-109s. Deer finds no sign of Allen below the cloud layer, so opening the throttle, he climbs hard and punches through the grey mist, searching for any sign of his friend. The sky seems empty. No matter how many times he talks to his radio, the response is always silence. The rescue mission has to come first, so pushing on the stick, he angles down through the cloud layer again when two 109s explode from the haze. Then they race past each other at incredible speeds. Deer sees the two German planes start to bank around for an attack. He takes his Spitfire into a tight turn and engages them single-handedly. The German pilots are stunned as the Spitfire rapidly closes in on them, seemingly turning at an impossible rate. Pulling in behind the first bandit, Deer gets his shot lined up and unleashes the full force of his guns. The tracer rounds smash into the German plane, and it soon starts trailing black smoke. But Deer keeps firing as panels and parts fly back towards him in the slipstream. The pilot finally loses control, and the 109 plummets to the ground. Far below, crouching in the ditch, Prof and White see the 109 come crashing down with a giant explosion. One down, one to go. Deer has used a lot of ammo in this fight already, but looking ahead, he sees the other 109 has used the fight to pull away. He opens the throttle and accelerates in pursuit. The German pilot throws his aircraft into a negative G nosedive. It's a classic tactic to shake off a Spitfire, and Deer knows he can't match it. Compared to the Bf-109's injection system, in a dive, the Spitfire's Merlin 3 engine will be starved of fuel, causing it to stall and die. So Deer's solution is to roll the plane over and dive down inverted. It loses him precious seconds, but the engine keeps running. In front of him, the 109 pilot pulls out of his dive and bursts ahead with a simple pull on the control stick. By the time Deer emerges, his enemy is well ahead. The two planes skim the treetops as the 109 pulls away. Deer has to act now to close the gap. Pushing the throttle forward as far as he can, he breaks past the protective lever and unlocks the extra engine boost. The engine roars and the Spitfire pulls forward. Using the boost puts incredible strain on the engine, but he needs every last piece of horsepower. The German pilot checks his mirror and sees the Spitfire catching up, looming larger and larger behind him. He forces his plane in a hard turn to starboard, frantically trying to throw Deer off his tail. But Deer keeps his target firmly in his sights. The 109 weaves left and right, flashing across his gun sight. Deer waits for a moment. Finally, the 109 sits in the middle of his crosshairs, and he pushes down on the trigger. But nothing happens. He curses under his breath as he realizes he's used up every last round of ammunition. So Deer decides to play a high-stakes game of cat and mouse. He stays locked on the tail of the 109, following its every movement, as if lining up to fire. It's a bluff, but it works. The 109 twitches left and right, avoiding a stream of bullets that never comes. But eventually, the German realizes the truth. The Spitfire is out of fire. He begins to turn, banking steeply. Fear grows in Deer's stomach. If the 109 comes in for an attack approach, he's totally defenseless. But the German doesn't open fire. Instead, he straightens out and runs towards the enemy lines. Back at the airfield, Prof and White clamber out of the ditch, having seen the final Bf-109 fly off. They rush into the M9 Master and prepare for their departure. Prof gets the engine running and starts testing the controls.
Let's get out of here!
Within a few minutes, they're speeding down the runway and airborne, on their way to the safety of England. When Deer returns to check on his friends, he sees that only White's abandoned Spitfire is left behind. His friends got away safely. He tries again to find his wingman, Johnny Allen. He tries the radio one more time.
Red 2, come in Red 2. Are you reading?
A familiar voice comes back to him.
Roger, Red 1.
It's Allen. He tells Deer that he's shot down one of the Germans, but he's been badly hit and needs to head home. The plane is not flying right.
She's not flying right.
Worried about his friend flying a damaged Spitfire over the sea, Deer accelerates away to find him. Finally, he spots the struggling Spitfire and pulls up alongside.
Red 1, how's she looking? Over.
Deer allows himself a smile of relief. The plane's definitely seen better days, but she should be able to limp home. Finally, reunited with his wingman, they both head off across the English Channel, where they rendezvous with a slower-moving M9 Master with Prof and White aboard. Thanks to the heroics of these three pilots, the rescue mission was a complete success, and it was also the first time a Spitfire shot down a Bf-109.
If you like watching skilled pilots in daring aerial combat, then you'll enjoy an incredible battle between ME-163s and P-51s.